All right, Algebra 1, here we are moving through Chapter 4. We're going to write function rules today. We're going to key in on how to write equations, and we're also going to key in on how to deal with some of those comparison problems we talked about all year. So first thing I have for you is just a quick little review. We're going to solve these two inequalities. We're going to graph them on, you can use one single number line. So just use the top one, and you want to identify it as a union or intersection. So that'll be one thing that we're looking for. So if you want to pause and just do that in your notebook now, you can. All right, here we are. Let's get started. And we're going to say that Jill earns $45 per hour using P for her pay and H for the number of hours. All right, so notice what's going on is she earns, so that's her pay is equal to, it's $45 per hour. Okay, so we're looking for something like that. We're not going to be using addition in any way, shape, or form here. Right? It's not the hours plus 45. That certainly wouldn't be near the salary she should be earning. So notice the other two are flip-flopped. So is the hours equals 45 times the pay, or the pay equals 45 times the hours? So we see it as B. Right? So that per, in this case, is meaning multiplication. All right, write the function rule for the perimeter of a building with a rectangular base if the width is 2 times the length. Okay, so here's that comparison that we've been talking about off and on. And we're trying to deal with that just a little bit. So the length is now x for this case, and the width is 2 times that. So that's 2x. All right, so if I'm able to use the perimeter equals 2L plus 2W, I know that L is just x plus 2 times 2x because the width is double that. Then we can start to finish some of these things up. So this is 2x plus 4x. So that means the perimeter should be 6x. And for our equation, x to translate back was L. So we're looking for 6L. There it is in H or C. All right, we want to write a function rule to represent the area of a triangle with a base 8 inches longer than twice the height. Ooh. Bless me. Thank you. All right. So again, we're dealing with the comparison here. So what's on the end is the height. So the height equals x. The base, that needs to be 8 inches longer than twice that. So 2x plus 8. So we're trying to plug that thing in there. Okay. Remember what happens in a triangle is the actual formula is 1/2 base times height. Okay, so that's A. So that's definitely not it. I don't see how things are going to get squared. So we're somewhere in between all of this other stuff. So our base is now represented by 2x plus 8. And then we still have another x for the height. Okay, keep in mind that all of these are height. So by variable, I can't throw anything out the way I did last time. So we're just going to have to see which one turns out to be the same idea here. So if we kind of work through and combine some things, because that's what's happening here, right? This would be a good formula if it wasn't multiple choice. So let's see what happens if I distribute. See if I can't figure out what's going on here. So distribute, we got x plus 4, and then there's another x. So I need something that would be the same as 2x. Right, or x squared plus 4x. All right, so we're in pretty good shape. So since these never happen, we're actually going to go back to that squared. Notice that x times x is x squared. Okay, had it not been multiple choice, I would love to see this part in the box right here. Okay, so it was the squared. How about that? I think that sneeze distracted me. We'll be all right. All right, this one is straight up review stuff. All right, so some keywords less than, in this case, it means we're talking about a subtraction. So I know this one is out. I need to have a quotient. So I see a division in A and a division in D. I don't see any division. So this one is out. Okay, so let's read it and see what's going on. D is, so that's where my equal sign is. So there, it looks like this letter D over here is kind of out, but we'll make sure everything matches here. 17 less than, so that's the old switcheroo. This one does say 17 less than, but it didn't have the D is. So we're going to get rid of it. The quotient of n and 4, so that's n and 4, our division. So here it is. choice number A. All right, so the function rule for the profit of a company expects to earn. So they gave us the function rule. So this one must be about trying to apply it somewhere. M represents the number of months the company has been in business. The profit should, all right, how much profit should the company earn after 12 months? So we want to put 12 in where M is. So the profit, 1,500 times 12 plus 2,700. Okay, so we need 1,500 times 12. So it's 6,000 plus 2,700. So it's going to be 87. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. No. I had a typo there. That was 18,000. And we're still going to add on. So you notice 18,000 is on there, but we're going to add on to it. So it gets us up to D because all the other ones were less than that. All right. Now I can see. All right. See, I had a problem. I couldn't see it. Didn't show up. All right. Now we're in an airplane and we're flying at an altitude of 3,000 feet. Right. So we're way up in the sky and we begin to descend. Okay. So we're going to go down. So that means this 850 as I build an equation is going to be minus per minute, but we had started at 30,000 feet. So we're able to build our equation. So that's what we have going on in A. Okay, remember descend means to go down. So that means I made that 850 negative for that whole thing. So where are we going to be at in 8 minutes? All right, I'm going to be careful and calculate here. Negative 850 times 8 plus 30,000. Okay, so we're descending. I would really like if this number didn't turn into negative because that means I crashed. All right, so we need 8 of those 850s. So we're at negative 6,800 plus 30,000. Okay. So we're going to be at 23,200 feet after 8 minutes. So we certainly didn't make it down to the ground yet. So I know we're running out of space. So we answered A and B. So let's take that equation, right? So same problem, y equals negative 850 m plus 30,000. All right, so we're going to use that function to determine how long it takes for the plane to land if it continues at this continuous rate. Well, in this case, minutes is telling me my new altitude for y. So that means I need my altitude to be 0. So 850 m. So if we continued at this descent of 850 feet per second, we're going to find out how long until we end up on the ground. So many times we'll subtract 30,000. All right, and then we have to take that and divide by 850. So I know it's negative over negative, so I'm going to leave those out completely. So I need 30,000 divided by 850. So how long is it going to take? How many minutes to get there? It's going to be 35.29 minutes until we land, if it were that continuous 850. Okay. All right. So number 8, I'm going to start next to this one. It has some vocabulary and some deeper thought going into it. I haven't seen this yet in Keystone, but it is prepping you for SAT type of idea. So let's take a look at it. Online Music Club charges $5.75 for the first music download and $2 for each additional per month. So we want to write a rule for describing the monthly fees for it based on the download. So I find out how much I get charged, right? The fees, and it's based on my downloads. So I'm always going to be charged $5.75. That's for the month. And then it's going to be plus $2. But here's where it's a little bit different. Okay, typically this would be for downloads, right? But this part here, that your monthly charge includes the first download. So that means we're going to break this part off and say the download's minus 1. Because if I only download one song, I assume this is about songs. If I only download one song, then I only pay the $5.75 as soon as I download more. So this one, that's why I put a star next to it. It's a little bit trickier to deal with because of this D-1. Okay, and again, I haven't seen this in Algebra 1, but I want to start putting this in front of you. That's part of my job to get you ready for Algebra 2 and some of those things. All right, they didn't have a follow-up on what to solve for. So again, remember today is really just about writing the function rule. We did have some things to solve, but I don't see that happening here in the next couple of problems. Area of a rectangle. Okay, so area length times width, whose length is 6 more than its width. All right, so here we have that comparison one more time. So the width is x, and the length, how do we say 6 more than that? That's x plus 6. What's the area of the rectangle when the width is 12? Okay, so the area equals x times x plus 6. And they told me the width is 12. So if the width is 12, I know that this one should be 18. But that means I should have 12. Got ahead of myself there. 12 times 18. That should give me the new area. So we do 12 times 18. We find out that it's 216, and this will be feet squared because we did feet times feet. All right. So again, we're still really focused on finding that comparison. Okay, so write a function rule for the area of a rectangle whose length is 7 meters more than 3 times the width. So what's super duper important is the width because that's on the end. So the width equals x. The length is now described as 7 more than 3 times that. What's the area? Okay, so that's x times 3x plus 7 when the width is 3. So if I know this is 3, this is also 3. So I'm going to get 3 times 3 plus 7. So that's 9 plus 7. So I can make this into 16. So we need 16 3 times, which would get us to 48. This was in meters, so we'll say meters squared. Okay, but again, the most important thing is that setup. We have highlighted, we're looking for the thing on the end, that is x. That's how we deal with comparisons. All right, so we have some age problems sometimes to get away from length and width. So here's we have Eric is 2 years younger than 2 times his sister's age. So sister is the one on the end. And this may seem a little bit silly, but we're going to say the sister is X years old. So we can say that Eric is 2 years younger than 2 times that. Okay, they said put it in terms of A. Okay, so if this was only about an equation, then I would say that sister is A and Eric is 2A minus X, or 2A minus 2. How old is Eric if his sister is 11? Okay, so 2 times 11 minus 2, it's 22 minus 2. Hey, Eric's 20 years old. All right, so again, the comparison is the most important thing of what we're talking about here. Okay, and most important of that is who's on the end. That becomes X. All right, this would be a really valuable skill as you get into some of these word problems in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2.